Hello, friends. Cron Academia here. Today we're going to be covering making a lobby screen. We're going to be covering a bunch of different topics. We're going to be breaking these down into multiple different videos. The first one we're going to cover today is going to be how to create our little 3D guy over there on the left-hand side, how to take our character and render him 3D in the world and then add him into the UI. We're also going to cover our perk system. We're going to cover adding your Steam avatar into the UI and your name, as well as binding some text and some other things to the game state, things like that. And then we're going to finish it off with spawning into the world based on selections from the UI and other things of that nature. So I appreciate you guys coming by and watching. Stick around and hope you enjoy. Alrighty. So the first thing that we're going to make is we're going to make an actor. We're going to make a recording actor. This is basically the actor that's going to record the actual actor that you want. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go to a new blueprint class. We're going to call this an actor. And we're going to call this recording actor. Double click it. What we're going to do here is we're going to add a couple of things. Going to add a scene, default scene component. I want to get rid of this little white ball, so I'm going to add a default scene. I'm just going to drag it up here. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to add a skeletal mesh. And then I'm going to add a camera. Oops. One of the interesting things and kind of annoying things about this system here is you have to select where you want the component that you're adding to go. So if you add something, you need to go back and reselect the default when you add something. Otherwise, it just adds it as a secondary thing here. So let's get rid of you, add camera. And then as a subset of the camera, we want to add a scene capture component 2D. Okay. So we're going to go in here. We're going to fill all of these out. We'll first start with our skeletal mesh. So the skeletal mesh is going to be the character that you want to actually show up in your UI. So we're going to choose our default here. Then we're going to go down to the camera. We're going to leave all that the same. We're going to go down to the scene capture component 2D. And one of the first things that I always do on scene capture components is I change the field of view. The field of view of 90 is just, it's too fisheye. It has a lot of distortion. It doesn't make the image that you're getting very flat. So let's change this to like 45 degrees, something way smaller. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is we need to set our texture target. This is basically setting our render target, where we're going to render this texture to so that we can get it. So we're going to leave this blank for now because we want to go ahead and create one of those. So we're going to go back to our here. I'm going to right click. We're going to go to materials and textures, new render target. We're going to call this character. Let's just call this target. Call it whatever you want. Double click it. Go back over here now that we have this created, and we're going to go into our texture target, and we're going to call this target. And let's actually arrange this so the scene capture component is targeting and capturing what we actually want. If you look down here, it's just capturing its foot. So let's grab the camera hierarchy and let's move back here. Let's move back. Let's go over to our render target. And as you can see, It's just capturing the bottom of his foot here, or the bottom of his legs. And if we actually go to the scene capture component down here, we can see that it's just capturing that here. So he's definitely facing the wrong way, or the camera's facing the wrong way. I'm just going to rotate him. I'm going to hit the E key to bring up our rotator. Make sure we're locked. That's usually easiest for me, and we'll just rotate him 90 degrees. All right, let's go back to our scene capture component. All right, he's facing the right way. And let's just bring this whole hierarchy up. We're going to hit W to add our transform tools. It's not quite there. Almost. Let's move this back. And almost there. Move it back and then down just a bit. Perfect. We've got our whole guy in there. That's what we want. Let's go ahead and compile here. That way everything sticks. So we've got our render target here. Now, one of the things that you can see here is you have a lot of jaggies here. And that's going to come up in the mask that this is going to create. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to a size that I actually want to use. Let's try 512 by 1024. It may be a little bit too high res, but let's give it a shot. Let's go back. As you can see, we squished it, but we have a much nicer resolution. Our height is a little too much. Let's go 768. Let's check that out one more time. Get a little refresh. That looks a little better. Let's bring this in. And again. There we go. That's good. You get the idea. You can adjust these sizes here to get the overall silhouette resolution that you want for the render target, and then adjust its height and width to make sure that it fits without getting cut off. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create our material. Hit right click, new material. We'll title this material 3D actor. Sure. Okay, let's open this up. We'll change our material domain to UI. We'll change our blend mode to translucent. Right click, we're going to add a texture sample. We want our texture to be our render target. And basically, what we need to do is we need to basically make this alpha-less. That's what it's called. So we're going to take the alpha and then we're going to 1 minus it. And we're going to plug that into the opacity. All right, last but not least, let's just plug up our final color here. We'll apply and save. Next, we're going to create our user interface. We're going to right click, go to user interface. We're going to type this 3D actor. I'm going to go in here. First thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of our canvas panel. So we're going to delete that. We're going to add in an image. The reason why we do that is because we're actually not going to use a canvas. This is going to be a custom kind of widget. We're going to come up here on the right-hand side. We're going to set it to custom. We're going to go over here to our size that we set our render target to, 512 by 768. Come over to our image and our height and width over here for our overall size. 512, 768. We've got our image here, and we'll set this to our material. 3D actor. Go ahead and compile that and save. All right. The next thing we need to do is we need to set the actor, the recording actor, to be spawned so it can exist in the world to then be captured and then put into the UI. So we're going to actually attach that to our current player. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up our character blueprint or our pawn blueprint. At the very end of our begin play, we're going to come over here. We're going to go right click, drag that out. We're going to spawn actor from class. We're going to spawn our recording actor. And then where we want him to spawn at, we're going to make a transform. And we want to spawn him outside of the sky sphere. So there's no background, nothing whatsoever. So usually about 10 million in either direction works. I'm just going to go straight up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll compile. Okay, go ahead and close that. All right, last but not least, we need to add our UI that has our 3D actor in it. So easiest way to do that is I'm just going to go into the level blueprint of my map. So we'll go into our level blueprint, and on begin play, I'm going to create a Lobby HUD widget. We'll just do this over again just so we can show you. Drag this out, create widget from class. Class is going to be Lobby HUD because that's where I currently have my HUD. This can be any HUD that you've currently created. Doesn't really matter. You just need to add the UI element within it. So my HUD is here. We're going to drag out for the owning player. We need to get player controller. And we're going to add to viewport. All right. So it's going to add our lobby HUD as soon as we open up the map. Let's go over to our lobby HUD now. And in our lobby HUD here, we've got our 3D player. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to search here, user created, or you can search up for your 3D player, the one that we just created. We're going to drag that exactly where we want. We want that to go right back where it was, right there. And we want to make sure that that is spanning our 3 rows. Now, if you notice, our background is not invisible anymore. Why is that? Wonder if it just, the render target was confused or something. There we go. Yeah, the render target was messed up. Very strange. The next thing we want to do is we want to go into our recording actor. We're going to go to our skeletal mesh, and you can actually give it an animation that you want it to use instead of just being in a generic T-pose. So we'll use animation asset, and we'll come down and we'll choose, and we want to come down to third person idle. And that way it just kind of stands there and does its thing. So let's go ahead and compile here. Let's hit save. Let's open up our, let's hit play, see what happens. As you can see, we've got our little guy here. He comes up. Now the shadows that you see here are simply because it's running in the editor. If you were to actually compile this, the shadows would come out clean. They wouldn't be jaggy like this. So there you have it, guys. We added a 3D character into our UI. Now, if you want to tie this to a particular character that's chosen in the beginning, all you have to do is just tie it to whatever character that you will be spawning, whatever pawn that you choose. You just basically add this little guy to the end, and it creates another pawn billion miles up in the air that you can't see, and takes a little screenshot of it and renders it to the screen. So if you like that, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, requests, please let me know how I did. I'd love to hear from you. Have a good day, guys.